On this, Dr. James Smith is an emergency physician and lecturer in humanitarian studies at the University College London, and he also worked in Gaza for a few months. Welcome, James. So, as we've just been reporting there, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, previously there have been rights groups saying that it needs to be dismantled, it needs to go back to UN groups, the groups that were previously effectively distributing aid in the Strip. Now it's this group of UN experts calling for it to be dismantled. What needs to happen here?
As you say, this is the latest in a long line of organizations and experts that have issued condemnation of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the GHF. The international humanitarian sector and Palestinian NGOs were unified in their condemnation of this initiative before it was formally established. They were calling at that time for the reinstatement of the pre-existing humanitarian system, which had faults, of course, but was able to deliver life-saving humanitarian assistance in a fashion that was organized, dignified, and safe, even under the horrific conditions that Israel has created throughout Gaza. That's, of course, what needs to be reinstated. That's what the UN agencies and international and Palestinian organizations have been calling for ever since that system was, frankly, intentionally undermined by Israel as a precursor to introducing its own system, this so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
And we've seen warnings of famine in Gaza throughout 2024 by the world's leading body on hunger, the IPC. Now they're saying that famine is occurring in the Strip. How has this been permitted to happen?
I mean, I think this is the most important question. As you say, there have been repeated warnings from the IPC, from UNICEF, from, again, Palestinian and international organizations for almost 2 years now, that famine was inevitable under the conditions as imposed by Israel. It doesn't take expertise in food security and nutrition to say that if you systematically deprive people of access to food, water, and medical care, you will not only create the conditions of famine, but you will effectively exterminate that population. This is extermination both by direct military violence and the systematic and coordinated deprivation of the conditions of life. This is a crime against humanity under international law. This is, as we know, the crime of crimes of genocide. How on earth has this been allowed to happen by an apathetic and indifferent international community that has frankly displayed a perverse voyeurism in watching Israel's actions, and in many cases showing active support to Israel in its conduct of genocide? This, of course, has led to the charge of complicity in genocide that has been leveled against several states, the US government, the German government, the British government, of course. These are entities that have shown complete indifference towards the suffering of the Palestinian people and have supported Israel's violence from, well, not even October of 2023, but dating back the better part of a century now.
And James, as a global community, how do you think this moment will be looked back on in history? I mean, today I think we reported at least 190 civilians dead from hunger, half of them children, in what is a preventable famine.
This is the shame of my generation, of several generations. I mean, this is the most heinous and barbaric crime of of the 21st century. And this is not just my opinion, this is an opinion shared by several people who've spent their entire careers working throughout some of the most horrific humanitarian crises and armed conflicts that have marked human history. This is truly the most dystopian and barbaric situation that, as we're discussing, the so-called international community has allowed to play out for the better part of 2 years now.
Dr. James Smith, emergency physician and lecturer in humanitarian studies at the University College London, thank you so much.